The following is a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
From the birthplace of modern winemaking, Sonoma, California, welcome to The Winemakers. Local experts Sam Couturi, Bart Hansen, and Brian Casey, along with host John Myers, invite you to listen in as they discuss all facets of winemaking. So sit back, pour yourself a glass, and let's hear what the guys have to say this week.
I didn't see him hit the start button.
I did. It was a cold open.
Google Grenache Gris. And that's the episode, folks. Wikipedia will do better than we will.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Look at the color of this wine.
See you next week.
Grenache Gris, white grain.
Beautiful stuff.
Wine
right?
Searcher says it's a variety, but it also maybe is just Grenache Blanc. What does Grenache Gris taste like? We'll find out. It's Grenache-
We will.
Well, what is the? I mean,
they're showing pictures of. I mean, what to me look like Grenache grapes that are just struggling to color,
right?
And which is totally like a Grenache thing, right? You know,
But I now Casey Graybill. I think he's probably going to listen. He'll pipe in. But I thought he told me that he was getting some grapes, and it was Grenache Gris, and there was very little bit of it around. So
this is what I've heard too.
Yeah.
And we could totally be wrong, but as far as I understand
TTB
what we're
doesn't
doing, nobody from the TTB.
All right.
Just turn off.
1 second.
Turn off the podcast.
Hey, everybody. We are the Winemakers. Welcome to the show. I'm John Myers with Brian Casey, Bart Hansen, Sam Couturi, and Hilary Cline this morning. Wow. Excellent.
Thanks
this
for
is
having
gonna be
me.
Fun. VP
Welcome
of
to the show.
Marketing and DTC. There you go.
Yep.
How important is that?
Oh,
these
big
days?
title.
Wow. No, I mean
Yeah.
DTC.
Yes,
How important
DTC.
is that?
Yes, and that's newer for me. So that is within the last year, I've kind of taken over the tasting room operations, which has been a learning curve and lots of stuff going on in tasting rooms.
Well, I
these days.
I can't tell you how spectacular your land is. I mean, where you are coming into Sonoma, it's just unbelievable place. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful
thank
spot.
you. My dad, I think, got very, very lucky when he found that property. And I think that location has just been huge for us. It's 45 minutes from San Francisco, kind of the real gateway to Sonoma.
But I want to know who does the signs.
That's exactly what I was going to
Gosh.
ask. I know I'm home. I just
Yes.
drove past it yesterday.
Right, and-
I know I'm home
And it was
when
and it
there's
was-
a new pun on the Cline
Have some
sign.
wine. Stop
For a
at
fine
Cline.
wine.
Yes.
Try the Cline line.
Yes. I have to tell you guys, that is the first thing everybody asked me about. So I have to give my dad kudos to that.
But are you on repeat now and we just don't know? Or is there pressure?
Yeah, who's
It's
coming up
You
with,
guys
like,
have
who's got
definitely
the
seen
sign?
some repeats in there. But yeah, there definitely are some repeats of the absolute favorites, like you and Cline for Meant to Be. That's a big one.
Oh, excellent.
But people send them in all the time. And then our tasting room staff comes up with a ton of them, and our marketing team. We have fun with it. Anyone in the whole company can come up
I mean,
with
it's
them,
kind of like the clover
Right.
thing. And, they used to put that out to
Tip
people.
clow through
and
your
stuff.
tulips.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I've always thought it has that same spirit, which I love.
Well, it is that there's always one of those at the Sears Point turnoff.
Yes.
It's like the bookends of.
You get 2 puns.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Welcome to Sonoma.
I do think it's such a welcome to Sonoma. I think it sets the vibe for Sonoma, like casual, fun wine country. We're a little more relaxed over here.
Well, and
Than
things are
other
certainly
places you could
moving
imagine.
down in your area. I mean, for the first time in a long time, we went to Cornerstone the other day to hear a band Sunday afternoon. It was just nice, free,
Yeah.
sun, food, wine.
Right.
Yeah, it's great. I
Yes.
enjoy the place. Unfortunately, it's owned by a weird dude.
So, Hilary,
No comments. Moving.
So-
we don't have sponsors.
Exactly.
so
For
Hilary,
those of you
can
interested
we
in advertising,
start-
email mountaincabernet@gmail.com.
Can we start with when the family started farming?
Yes.
Can we start way back then? Because I don't know the story and
Yeah, so it's a really interesting story actually, and it involves hot tubs. So it's gonna be good.
Hot tub time machine. Here we
Yes, exactly. So if we get in the hot tub time machine back to
blah, blah, blah.
the early 1900s, my great grandfather and his family came over from Italy. It was a really rough time in Italy, and there was just a lot more opportunity in America, the whole American dream. They were the Jacuzzi family. They came over, worked in different parts of California, and eventually settled in the East Bay in Berkeley. And there they started a company called Jacuzzi Brothers, and they made airplane propellers. Then they made agricultural water pumps, and then they eventually ended up inventing the hot tub, which is their most famous invention. But during that time...
Wait, sorry. Okay, so I'm picturing water pump and propellers.
Yeah.
Which then, like, whose idea was it one day, let's combine these things and put it into a bathtub?
Well, first of all, what year was it?
So they moved here in 1907.
But the hot tub part.
The hot tub didn't come until much later. That happened in like the 50s.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a really long story. And there's a book that I just read, actually, that was very interesting. I think more interesting to me because it's my family. So I recommend it if you're maybe a little bit bored and need something to read.
You know what?
If you're into hot tubs.
We have some people that might look for that book.
Yes. We have about 2,000 copies at the winery. So
half off for podcast listeners.
Exactly.
Buy 10, get one free.
But one of the brothers was like a very genius inventor, and aviation was just like coming into play kind of when they started their company, and they invented propellers. And then one of their propellers, the toothpick propeller, was used in World War I. Like they were successful with that. But then there was a really bad crash with one of the brothers and a business associate. So after that happened, they got completely out of propellers. They almost went bankrupt. And then the genius brother came up with the agricultural water pump. And that's when they bought a ranch out in Contra Costa where they started farming grapes.
Okay.
The hot tub came later when one of them... there were 13 brothers and sisters, and I don't know all their names.
So there's a trend in the family.
Yes, there's a trend in the family. So one of them had a son that was born with like early onset rheumatoid arthritis. And so the inventor of the family combined the two things that they had worked on, these water pumps that were a specific type of jet water pump where you shoot water down and it makes it come up. You guys probably know more about that kind of thing than I do. But so they combined that with the propeller and made like a hydrotherapy bath that looked like almost like a toaster thing you put in the bathtub, and it was sold as a medical device forever. And then
until someone got electrocuted.
Yes.
For the record, disclaimer: please do not try this at home. No toasters in the bathtub.
Yeah, let's
not make toasters in the bathtub jokes.
Good call.
Unless we're in a Bill Murray movie or something.
But I think during this time, they were traditional Italian families. So they had a ranch out in Contra Costa, and there were old vineyards planted on it. So some of the old growth Mourvedre, Carignan, Zinfandel was already on the property when they purchased it. And that was like a secondary business for one of the brothers, was farming the grapes and selling them.
Okay.
So that was my great-grandfather who had the ranch.
And so your dad grew up out there.
He actually grew up in L.A. His mom moved down to L.A. Sorry.
That's all right. We can give you a second.
I have a cough drop.
Grenache Gris is not Grenache Blanc. Just tasting it, right? I mean, Francis Robinson says there's the article that you were that Grenache Gris is a variety.
Right. Yeah.
I'm looking at the pictures of it though, and I think that basically you just take Grenache Noir that has whatever like
hasn't gone through
that
variation
hasn't. Well, no, and I think
completely?
it's just that it if you go out into a vineyard full of Grenache vines, you're gonna find a dozen that just don't color.
Right.
And I imagine that, you know, over the course of doing that regularly, you could take cuttings from just those vines and essentially create Grenache that doesn't have any color.
Right.
But genetically, my assumption would be that it's the same as Grenache Noir.
Right.
Meaning that you're fine if the TTB listens to this episode.
Well, because
it's basically the same, you know.
What about Pinot Gris as opposed to Pinot
Noir.
And there's Pinot Blanc.
Pinot Blanc. Pinot Gris is right.
Pinot and
I mean, it's a mutation.
It's a mutation.
So that's essentially kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah,
also.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think what Hilary has done is made like white Pinot. She has made
have.
white Grenache.
Yes, we've made white Pinot.
Right.
Yeah.
White Grenache.
White Grenache.
I mean, the fact is it tastes great. So,
Yeah. Well, it's like halfway between white wine and rosé,
right.
which is kind of where you'd want it to land.
Right.
Yeah. Which I've seen a lot of, especially with Grenache. Like, you've seen some rosé that is like, you have to hold it up to the light.
Oh, we've made rosé that you have to do that.
Yeah.
Hillary, there are a lot of names on this business card.
Yes.
Okay. Can you go through all of these
All the
properties?
brands of-
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jacuzzi, we started that in honor of my great-grandfather. So we make California Italian varieties out there. It's all about kind of celebrating the farmers that still hold on to like Sangiovese, Sagrantino. Like we do everything interesting there, Italian-wise. And then we actually import some Italian wines as well.
You guys, don't you do a Syrah in Italy?
We do, yes. That's the Costa dei brands.
Yeah.
It's a GSM from Italy. It's awesome. We found them because they're some of the only people growing Mourvedre in Italy.
Had that wine.
It's good.
Yep.
And then we also make olive oil out at the olive press. We do all kind of extra virgin olive oils.
And a lot of other people's
You
olive
want me
oil,
to take
too.
over? I'll take over for Gust.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
So, I think your dad bought a piece of property in the Petaluma Gap in the
Yes.
late 80s.
Actually, early 90s. So
Early
like around
90s?
94.
But it was
Yeah.
a couple of properties, right?
Yes, two.
Yeah.
hmm
And everyone asked him, "What the hell are you doing?" He said, "We're gonna go grow grapes." And they said, "You're absolutely insane because it's
Yes.
too cold."
One of the first grape growers in the Petaluma Gap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Totally.
so Hillary and Megan
Post-prohibition.
basically grew up on this property, and now you guys are making wine,
Yes, very small amounts of Pinot, Chard, and
Pinot, and
Syrah, of
And the
course.
Syrah is
Yes.
they're all amazing. Actually, I've had them all and are big fans of all of the wines,
Yes.
but the Syrah is especially really good.
It's so like cool climate Syrah. I think
Yes.
all wine people love it because it's so complex, changes so much in the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, who's actually making that wine? Is it you?
It's mostly Tom and Megan.
Okay,
Tom and Megan. Yeah.
Okay. Under the Gust label.
Is that the same for Jacuzzi also?
Tom and we have a new winemaker named Katie Hoggins. She came over. She was at Kenwood for a very long time.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to recognize that name.
They're both Kiwi. Both Tom and our new winemaker Katie are both New Zealanders. So we
Get
like the Kiwis
mistaken
out
for
there.
Australians all the time. I've seen it happen in live.
Well, we had Tom on the show
A long
many
time
many
ago,
years
yeah.
ago. Yeah.
But maybe he had just started with Cline then?
Yeah,
Trying
or
to
I think it
remember what
was
he
right
was-
when Charlie had retired.
that's
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Charlie retired and he went from assistant winemaker to winemaker.
Yeah, he has been amazing. Like he worked at some very high-end different places and is just bringing some new techniques and different practices into our cellar. So I think we've seen the wines evolve a lot since he's taken over, and I love Charlie so much though. Like he is such an amazing person. I don't know if he ever came on, but he's
but he
one of the best
he
guys.
would good to have on because he's got some good history there and worked for some great people.
Mhm.
You've probably heard him referred to as Charlie Single Head of Lettuce.
That's a good way.
Right?
That's a
So
good way.
good way
say
to
his
kind of
last
remember
name.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we should tell you, so Hillary is just getting back from Mexico.
I'm slightly dying over
Partying
here.
for
Yeah.
the week and just landed last night. So give her a break. She's
Thank you.
probably
Thank
been
you
in
so much.
clubs, screaming,
No,
doing the
no
Macarena.
clubs, no clubs.
Macarena for a week.
Thank you so much.
You know, this is the first morning I've felt the allergies.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Totally,
I sat down here and
totally,
sneezed
yeah.
about 5 times. It's just
I mean, it's the super bloom, right? It's yeah.
Everything's about to. Grapes are starting to bloom. The olives are blooming.
hmm
Everything else.
Yeah, it's a pretty epic time to be in Sonoma, though. Pretty. Yeah.
Okay. So Dad grew up in L.A.
Yes, he grew up in LA and was like, thank
Oh,
you
wait.
guys.
Show?
Thank you so much, by the way. But so he grew up in LA, was a total surf bum, got into huge trouble all the time. So he was sent during summers to go live with his grandparents on the boring ranch up in Contra Costa,
Got it.
just to kind of get away from the city. He was one of 9, so it's hard to wrangle all those kids.
There we go.
Yes,
You have
but
to
he
rent out giant buildings for family reunions.
yes,
Right.
yes.
Or
But
just
he
build them.
yeah, there you go. That's more his speed, I feel like. But he realized you could actually work in agriculture, and I think growing up in LA, you don't know that necessarily. Like his dad was a lawyer.
Right.
So I think he was really inspired by that and ended up going to UC Davis for viticulture, came back and started making like serious wines from the grapes out there, which not many people had been doing.
Right.
And saw some really early success with like his first and second vintages, like 92 from Wine Spectator, and he was selling it for like $10 a bottle. So I think he got really, really lucky with his family having invested in this amazing place that phylloxera can't survive. So it's some of the oldest vines in California out there. So
Phylloxera can't survive.
No, it's
in the sand.
It's in sand. So they have 130-year-old Mourvedre vines out there.
Unrooted. Like,
dry farmed, everything. So
you never had that at the Golden Bay?
No. So from the highway,
it wasn't McLaren Syrah to go with the fries and thighs and
Stop it.
One trick pony.
How's it going, Steve? Shout out to Steve Law.
There you go. From the street, when you're driving by on the highway, where does your property go? Does it go up the mountain, or is it all
the winery property?
Yeah.
So it goes up that mountain. If you look, we call it Hatstrap Hill because it's super windy. Carneros is like the windiest place on the planet. So
the story goes that when the missionaries came to Sonoma Valley, right, they were going to put the mission basically where
that property
where
is.
the property is,
yeah.
and it was too windy, and they moved up valley to Sonoma and created the plaza as we know it.
Exactly.
Wailupa was what they called it, which was like a native word for like windy as fuck or something like that.
Exactly. But the
loose,
property
loose translation, John. Loose translation.
The property's been blessed, and that's why we do the Easter sunrise service every year out there. So highly recommend you guys come to that.
And
Tell me about it.
And you have a model of you have a display on the missions.
Yes, we do. Yeah, we have the mission models that were built for the World's Fair in 1939 that we display there. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
It's Sam. You'll see. It's when they do California history. It's key to take the kids to see those,
to build your sugar cube mission replica.
Yes. I don't know if they're still doing it though.
I don't think so.
Our Dane did it, and it was done out of clay. It was pretty
What are
cool.
these?
I went to hippie schools. I didn't do
Easter
it.
services you have.
Of course.
It's a
Heathens.
St. Francis puts on an Easter service every year out there. It's at sunrise, so I've actually missed it the past few years.
Most
but
of my life.
parents go. Yeah, it's packed though. There's about 400 people that came out this year, and it's just it's just so beautiful to watch the sunrise. On Easter,
and
very symbolic.
Sunrise in Carneros with that expansive view east. It's pretty epic out there.
Before the wind.
Before the wind. Hopefully there's no fog. Yeah, before the wind and the afternoon wind hits.
Yes.
It's great in the morning. Just like
Starts
Candlestick
up about
Park.
3 p.m. Yeah, totally. But yeah, so we pretty much, we grow in kind of these 3 distinct areas out in Contra Costa. So we kept a lot of the vineyards out there, and then we have that property in Carneros, and then we have property up in Petaluma Gap also. So those are kind of like the 3 main areas that my family works with and that we're able to grow our own fruit on.
Because I always thought, because I had worked at the Grow and the Fig and knew these guys from buying, we used to pour the Mourvedre by the glass. I always thought it was weird that you guys were in Carneros, but I knew you as Rhone producers.
Yes.
And it was because your family just had this property out in Contra Costa where you had this old wine stuff. And I don't know how you sell that wine for what you sell it for.
It is much cheaper to grow grapes out there. And we own the property. We own a lot of property out in Contra Costa.
And it's multi-generational ownership at this point. I mean, you almost have to kind of look at it. How does some of the French wineries sell those wines that cheap? Because, they can.
Yeah.
Well, then how did one of the reasons we're here today is because we want to talk about Rhone Rangers because you guys are hosting this year.
We are,
and Hilary's a new board member of the organization, which is how she roped us into it.
Yes.
Sorry about
that. She sent a really nice email and said, "Hey, I'm the board member now. Come hang out with us." And I said, "Okay, here are my dudes."
But it's exciting that Sonoma producers are focusing on Rhone varieties, and they're very exciting. There's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of potential, I think, still. So it'll be really fun. It's the first time they've hosted in the North Coast. They've been very focused on Paso for many, many years. So I'm really happy that we're kind of bringing them back out. And there's going to be 2 different events. one's going to be a tasting for consumers, and everyone's invited to that. We have a special promo code.
Oh, look at that.
Yes.
She brought notes.
I got the codes too.
Sam, she's in marketing.
Professional.
Yes.
Professional.
Professional. Are you taking notes?
No.
I'm taking notes.
I'm
over
a,
here.
I'm a
Yeah.
marketing amateur, clearly.
Wait, let's talk about what day this is, because this show's going to come out this week, right?
Next week we got Chris
week.
Tynan
Okay, so Chris
in the
Hines,
can.
So, okay.
Yep.
So this will be out.
Still
Okay,
time,
so
right?
plenty
Yeah,
of
still
time.
Because
Plenty of
this is
time
the
to-
end of June is the event.
Yeah, June 24th.
June 24th. Okay, and that's the day of the tasting and the dinner? Or?
And the dinner, yes. So
Okay.
it's a tasting until 5:30, and then there's a dinner that starts at 5. That's a VIP tasting, and then a whole dinner with some Rhone Ranger luminaries.
Wait, what does that mean?
Special people, you
Means-
know. Bob Lindquist is coming. I mean,
No way.
yeah.
That's-
So that'll be,
I was
yeah.
going to say,
That's real
you
cool.
you think about it, it's Bob,
Randall.
Randall,
Right.
Yeah.
Fred,
Right.
there's a
Tubbs
couple,
Cre- yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
Hosses,
Jason.
John Albin,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
so that would be the original Rhone
Rhone
Rangers
Crew,
of,
Rhone.
of-
Sandra was, she received the Lifetime Achievement Award a few years back.
Yep.
Yeah.
hmm
All right, so June 24th at Cline Cellars.
Yes. 30
There's
wineries going.
A ton of people pouring wine. Yeah.
Yeah, and from all over, from Lodi, from Paso, from the foothills,
Right.
from Sonoma.
Yeah.
From
And we've
Napa.
kind of had that feeling over the past 10 years of like, hey, look at what we're doing up here.
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
Because we usually go down to Paso for
Yes,
Rhone
all the
events.
stuff, yeah.
And so we're really happy that you're hosting something. up
Yeah,
here in
Cool
Sonoma.
Climate Rhone. It's such a important,
Right.
amazing wine. So
Yeah.
it's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're excited.
What percentage of people like that come into Cline Cellars are they looking for Pinot, or do you kind of hook them on Mourvèdre, or do they come in not really knowing what you?
Yeah, and
guys
I always
do?
when I think Cline, and this is uninformed, I always think Zinfandel.
Yes,
Oh,
and Zinfandel's such an interesting variety. You know, it's just had its ups and downs.
Understatement of the morning.
Yes. So that's been kind of what people know us for. That's what we have in a grocery store, let's
Right.
say. But we do so much more than that. So I think when they come to Cline and they know us prior, usually it's because our Zinfandels, and then they go there and they try like our red blends, our Rhone wines. But, a lot of people come in just visiting wine country, and then we do make kind of Sonoma varieties for them also, like Cab Pinot, that kind of stuff.
right.
Mhm.
So, because you must have Pinot on the property, right?
Well, when my dad moved here, he like totally bucked any he planted Syrah, so much Syrah.
Well,
Grenache.
everybody did it. Everybody did at that time. They planted so much Syrah and very little Grenache, right?
Yeah.
And probably just a
exactly.
little bit of Mourvèdre.
Yep. And Viognier, he planted Viognier,
Yeah.
but he really, all the neighbors were planting Pinot and Chard for the sparkling programs.
right.
But he did not want to do that. He was so into the Rhones. He still is. So.
So how does that? I mean, let's for what let's kind of look at that history of your dad being into the Rhones, and the beginning of sort of the California Rhone thing. Syrah in Northern California, basically starts there. Lee Hudson maybe would be another name to put into that hopper. But how does your dad get into these wines and want to keep planting in places?
I think so. He kind of fell into the Mourvèdre, Carignan, that's Southern Rhone type varieties,
Right.
And so I think a lot of what he was doing when he first was starting out was selling fruit to guys like Randall Graham, and different Rhone Rangers, and so he was trying their wines and seeing, okay, they're making awesome Syrah from like down in Santa Barbara and places like that. And so I think just being very inspired and like kind of wanting to grow with the Rhone Rangers, a big part of him moving to Sonoma was being able to plant some of the cooler climate Rhone varieties that do better in like Hermitage and stuff like that. He was like very inspired, very geeky at that time, So
Yeah, because what was the first wine that he actually what year was it that he actually made wine for the first time rather than just selling grapes?
82 was the first year. Yeah, and he was like 25, which I'm like, dude,
And was it him actually making the wine?
But that wasn't. You guys weren't up here yet.
It was
right?
him. Yeah, the first year we weren't up here. He was just like doing it out of a trailer in Contra Costa. Like my friends who are starting to make wine now or have started in the past few years and are kind of just doing it by the seat of their pants type thing. That's what he's doing. And I think it happened right at a good time in wine where it was a boom time, you know, and I think getting Wine Spectator on board, which I don't know how he did that. I think he just sent some wines in and then got some good scores. That really did put him on the map and allow him to grow. And I think
also at that time there were a lot of growers that were like looking at wineries going, I can do this, and you know, they're paying me shit for my grapes, and if I do that I can make up the difference.
Totally. Yeah.
And I think there were a lot of guys that were making that switch from grower to grower winemaker.
Yeah. Yes. A lot of brands were kind of established at that time, and wine was really having a moment as well, you know, and I think we talk a lot right now in the industry about kind of getting young people on board and all that stuff. I don't think they had that issue back then.
Right.
So, yeah.
Doesn't seem to be any trouble with kids around here. But nationwide, everybody's griping about it, but I still see lots of, I mean, you know, it's the average age in your tasting room
does not look like the trend line.
Right.
And so it's interesting. I was having just got back from this.
But neither does this tasting room.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, and I think that's probably a lot of it. Look at this lineup, you know, especially with the shout out Tim Gatto and the Gatto, you know, the new labels on the Ancient Vine stuff, you know, and it's also just a lineup that in general has kind of bucked that trend line. Yeah. And you know, that report, the report saying that millennials and young people aren't buying wine has kind of messed up the wine industry from the inside out. I think there's conversations that I had, you know, last week when I was in Washington D.C. with, you know, people who are in nationwide, you know, sort of wine businesses that I don't really deal with. That all of a sudden, you know, the distributors and the retailers saw these reports and stopped buying things. So it's self-perpetuating.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. People are spooked, I think, a little bit, but not here, you know, not in Sonoma, not on
Certainly
like the
not.
family winery scale. It's just a much bigger.
Sam, when you were out in D.C., did you find out if they did drink Chenin Blanc at the Pentagon?
You know, there's certain things you don't ask about. And even when they're talking to people who work in the Pentagon, I don't even want to know where they park. You know, don't tell me anything about your job. The less I know, the better. Avoid. Oh, you work at the Pentagon? Here, try this Infidel. Like,
were you there for an event?
I was there. The Heart's Delight Wine Experience Extravaganza. They call it an auction, but it was like there was 3 nights of auction. Wednesday night, Friday night, Saturday night, dinners Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, gala. Like,
oh my gosh.
It was just like, it was, you know, at the end it was looking at all these like other reps and winemakers. John Lockwood from Enfield was there. Brienne Day from Day Wines, which was cool. So there was some like, you know, there's a whole bunch of like Bordeaux reps. But, you know, there was some California folk and some West Coast folk, and we kind of all looked at each other, and then it was just like, it was a marathon, you know, multi-version, you know, 3 different tasting moments. And so it was fun. It was exhausting. I think they raised a ton of money. It was the American Heart Association. Nice. You know, there was lobbyists and congressmen and former senators and the whole thing that you'd expect. Amazing Bordeaux experiences.
Was George Santos there pretending to be a
George Santos was there. He was pouring Brazilian wine, I think. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Isn't he the winemaker at Opus?
Wow. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. His was 14 Crimes is the name of his wine.
Oh my god.
Write that one down.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
Take notes. Don't.
I
take
mean,
notes.
you know what? There's going to be something like that. It's going to be on the sign at Cline.
Totally.
I'm changing it this
Right.
afternoon. Yeah. We can't get too political on the sign. That's, yes.
The
I'm
sign has
sure.
got to be a sensitive.
Yeah, that's another,
Yes.
that's another family here in Sonoma that
Yeah.
puts out those signs.
Yes.
So Hilary, who do you like what's the demographic you think of wines like this? Like we just poured the Carignan or the Mourvedre or the Grenache Gris, or is it? Do you see personally younger people kind of branching out and not drinking Pinot and Cab and Chard?
I do. I think that they get into wine through those traditional varieties, like what their parents drink. Like a lot of people get in through Cab because that's their parents drink Napa Cab, right? And then if they get interested in wine and then they start discovering varieties like Mourvedre and Carignan, they get very excited by it, and it kind of opens doors to the rest of the Rhone varieties, or maybe it opens doors to trying imports, which I think over in California people are more resistant to. I think East Coast, like you go to Brooklyn, they drink imports and natural wine there. Like they're not drinking California, but over here, I think that it's kind of like the next step for people. It's like they get into it, drink the big stuff, and then they look for that interesting stuff if they're into wine, I think.
And it's funny, I think once people get in, they realize the water's fine. Like they dip the toe in, and then there's this whole new world that opens up when you talk about Rhone varietals. Like,
Totally.
And then you get sucked in, and then you realize how cool the people that are growing and making the wines are. And it's like you found family that you didn't know you had.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes, they're just such gems. You can get such great values for Rhone wines also, and just it's usually families that are making them because they're definitely not tons of Viognier planted around all of California and things. So it's, I think, a really fun avenue for people to learn more about and discover.
I think people are, Sam, this is, I guess, just a note to you. I think winemakers are looking for more Rhone whites to play around with too.
Brian, I mean,
Do you need a pen?
I may have been talking to the assistant winemaker from a well-known winery yesterday that said, I wish we could get our hands on some more Rhone whites.
Yes, assistant winemaker for well-known Napa winery.
Yes. Planting the seed on me.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think both climate-wise and the sales climate-wise, probably looking at some more Rhone whites is a good idea. I mean, in general, finding things that, Morgan's talked about this a ton from Bedrock, finding varieties that handle heat and maintain acidity.
Don't accumulate sugar
and slowly accumulate sugar. And, when you put those things together, the Rhone varieties, check those boxes pretty well, especially stuff from the Southern Rhone. Or varieties that do well without being, having tons of acid. So, I think that's totally what's happening. We're redeveloping some vineyard at the Berisha property, where, not the old Zinfandel, but the, stuff that's sort of some modern plantings that need to be redone. And we're going to put some white Rhones out there. The flip side is you still have to convince landowners that we should plant these, lesser known varieties that are going to cost the same amount of
more of a gamble.
There's the same amount of like development costs, and farming costs are similar, but the fruit prices are lower. That's still a tough sell. So.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this Carignan. It's beautiful. The color is spectacular.
Thank you. Yeah, it's one of my favorite wines, I think, that we make. Yes, it is. It's juicy. I think there's dustiness in there. It's like such a fun variety. We don't make very much of it. We make like 500 cases of Carignan a year, and I'm like
orange.
And what do you guys sell this for in the tasting room?
It's $26 a bottle.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. That's, I mean, I think all of you have maybe met my dad. He wants to like deliver a value to people. I think he reacts really strongly against a lot of the like over the top prices of certain wines, you guys all know. But he's a very kind of everyday guy. So it's important to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you get this position? Did you want this position? Did someone recommend you for this position?
Position?
Now being
the Rhone Rangers.
I do.
On the Rhone Rangers. But on that same note, have you always worked for the winery?
No, I left for quite a while, and I came back in 2015. So I mean, I guess I was 25 when I came back. It wasn't quite a while. It was 5 years.
It felt like a while, maybe.
Felt like a while. And I worked at I took a break after I came back and worked for Pernod Ricard and viticulture. Mm-hmm. So I did that for a year in New Zealand and came over here with them also, which was awesome. Like getting to see all the different ranches around Northern California was really cool because they buy a lot of fruit from people. Mm-hmm. So that opened my eyes so much more to like what we were doing at Cline in comparison. And then I worked for Sojourn also in the cellar for a harvest, which was really fun as well. It was at their custom crush facility. So
that would have been with Tom. And,
it was actually, he wasn't there.
It was after Tom left.
It was Matt Revelette. He's now the winemaker at Siduri. So it was really a great experience. It was very important for me to get out of my family and just be able to learn and bring some stuff back and gain legitimacy too.
You were a cellar rat.
Yes, I was.
But it sounds like your trajectory was that you always wanted to work in wine.
Yeah, I actually studied Russian and psychology in college, and I did a Fulbright in Russia.
Half of that is probably good for the wine business.
Yeah,
the psychology piece.
I know, right? The Russian part I haven't used very much, I will say. But I did a Fulbright in Russia after school, and I thought working in like the foreign service would be fun, something like that, or being a translator. I like learning languages. Spanish would have been Russian, more. Though? Honestly, the class started later than Spanish in college, so that's why.
We see a theme happening here of Hilary not wanting to wake up early.
Exactly. Yes.
Now we're in marketing.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. Not on the vineyard crew. Yeah.
Yes, I will. Being a cellar intern, I mean, that was like having to be in Santa Rosa at 5 a.m. You guys know. I mean, that was. It was fun.
I don't really actually. Yeah. Bart knows.
It was good.
Sam waits till the sun comes in the window and warms his skin before he rolls out of bed.
Warms I have a solar powered coffee machine, so I can't wake up before the sun rises.
That's awesome.
It's the very, very slow drip coffee maker.
All right, so then you came back to the family.
Yes, I did sales, as you know. I think I called on you.
Yeah.
That was an education, I think. Sales in Northern California.
What was the most fun part of doing sales?
Obviously selling you wine. Come on.
Hilary, you're already on the show. Yeah. You can stop.
I mean, I think a lot of it is so fun. Salespeople get to do the fun parts of when you imagine like, people outside the industry imagine working in wine. They imagine what a lot of the salespeople do, which is like take people to dinners and do different events and things like that, which is awesome. But working in sales in Northern California, you do grow a very thick skin. Like people, it's good. It's good. I learned a lot. That I probably learned the most in that role. I did it for maybe around 5 years. So.
And were you just dropping in, or you're going through a distributor who's saying, hey, I'm going to bring Hilary Cline with me?
Both. Yeah, it was. Yeah, the distributor we work with, you definitely have to do a lot of your own stuff as well. But you can lean on them.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the whole difference is if you have a distributor and you don't have someone from the winery making sure that you're on their to-do list.
Totally.
It doesn't get done. You just get lost.
Totally.
I think that's every distributor.
It's huge. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you have to support them. Yeah.
I mean, how big are those books? I
haven't
seen books in years, but they used to be like this.
Yeah, they're huge.
They still are.
They still are.
Some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, and that leads to there's a DTC at the end of that title. So let's talk a little bit about that and how important it's becoming.
Oh my God, it's huge. Yeah, it is a huge part of our business. It's like we want people to come and have the best time ever when they come to the winery. We want it to be fun, but obviously through COVID, which I'm sure you guys have talked about the changes that kind of brought forever. So Cline for the longest time was all bar tastings. Like you walk in, there'd be 3 people deep at the bar. You're sticking your glass trying to get some wine.
I'm on number 2.
Exactly. So during COVID, we did introduce sit-down tastings, which has been amazing. So because we have these interesting varieties, it's been really nice to be able to kind of dig into them more with people, be able to explain them a little bit more and the background and history. So that's been kind of a really fun change, but you could still walk in.
Sorry, Brian just brought out the new online, probably off of Facebook, fly.
Hey, Facebook.
This was invented by a member of the Jacuzzi family, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes.
The fly propeller.
The psychedelic.
Well,
fly propeller.
you know, once you're into outdoor lifestyle, your hot tubs or jacuzzis, then you got to like figure out, you know,
Deal
how to
with the
keep the
flies.
flies away from your charcuterie.
I know, this is very high tech. I like it.
Sorry, I wasn't meaning to distract you guys. I saw the flies going around. I'm like, hey, we just got these things.
Well,
We
the
should
nice thing is
figure it
it's
out.
safe. It's kind of like, you know, our dogs don't have tails, so we don't have to
Right.
worry about glasses being swept off. You know, this is not the curry tail. It breaks for glasses.
This isn't going to clear a table,
Right.
In search of a scrap of prosciutto.
Right.
Yeah. All right, I couldn't wait for the Movedra. Okay. I had to self-serve on the
I don't
Movedra.
know. Oh, sorry.
It's all good.
It's all okay. We don't edit.
Oh,
Right.
I was going to
Such
ask.
is
I'm like,
life.
please edit.
Oh, no.
Please edit my cough out. Okay. Thank
I'm
you.
trying to drop them out.
All right, so wait, sorry, I had to step away to grab this. So, how did it come about that you are now on the board of
Oh
Rhone
yeah,
Rangers?
I actually honestly
we were talking
they
about-
reached out to me. I'm not sure how they found me, but Kim, the director,
I mean, it
executive
makes
director.
sense. I was just wondering
Yeah.
what that conversation was like. Like they're like, "Hey, would you?"
Yeah, I did not know what I was signing up for, honestly.
Okay, you
but
didn't
I
volunteer for it or go looking for
No.
it. They came to you.
Yes,
it never
yeah.
happens that way, right?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I'll be on the board. We meet once a month.
we
It'll
can
be
make
fine.
a difference. Sell more wine.
I'm excited about it though because they haven't had a presence up here in a long time.
Absolutely.
So like coming in with a lot of energy, getting new members, which has been great, and they're very easy to become members of, and they do a really great event down in Paso. That 16600 came to, which was great, and that's kind of their strong suit is the events they do. So it'll be awesome to have one up here.
Yeah.
And there's a trade. We're going to do a trade portion at the beginning for buyers and distributors and things like that.
And in the early days, they did some kind of regional
Yes.
tasting. So there would be a Rhone Rangers tasting in Sonoma County, and it would have
Mhm.
just Sonoma County wineries meeting
Yep.
at usually at another winery.
Yeah,
if I
yeah,
remember
they
right.
do some of that, and I do really want there to be more of. There are several Sonoma wineries that are members. Abbot's Passage just joined, also Two Shepherds, the Grenachista. Like there's several wineries that are members. So I think kind of getting all the Sonoma North Coast people together
Right.
and really kind of doing more. Because there is appetite for it. I think there definitely people really miss the San Francisco events they used to
Right.
do. So
I'll have to put it in my budget for next year.
mhm.
Yeah, Meeker.
Definitely.
You're gonna make a budget for
Rhone.
next year, Bart. I'm proud of you.
I just had to put that softball up there for you, Sam.
Well, I know because what is the percentage of people of
No, you said that just in
wineries that
case
are
Terry
in
listens to
Sonoma?
this episode.
that are coming.
No, just in general that are members of Rhone Rangers.
I think there's about 20 around 20.
Out
And
of how many?
60? 60.
Okay.
So
About a third.
yeah.
Presence, right? Okay.
don't quote me on that.
Right.
But I should know since I'm a board member. But it definitely has been mostly Paso, and I think that's something they've talked about a lot internally. So there's someone on the board now from Zaca Mesa and Santa Barbara. There's someone on the board from Lodi. Someone on the board from Oregon, from Troon Vineyards. He's actually the
Oh.
president. So they're putting in a big effort to expand beyond Paso because I think a lot of the other members have given them that feedback and people want it. So it's exciting.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and quite frankly, it's very complimentary to the Hospice de Rhone
Mhm.
because they do things on a regular basis. where Hospice de Rhone, it's every other year for the most
Yeah.
part, for us here in California. So it's nice. Whatever you can do to raise consciousness of all these varieties, right?
Well, so then what do you have to do if you're a winery that is not belong to the Rhone Rangers? What's involved in that? Like what?
Honestly, you just sign up. The fee is very reasonable compared to like every other association that we're members of. It's probably the most reasonable. And you just sign up online.
It's still only 3 figures. It's
Yes.
to a lot of these.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Huh.
Yeah. So, and I think that's the biggest thing is just the value, like knowing that there's value for the money you're putting into it, which it's always a big topic with the associations because we are stronger together, but you have to make sure that there's some value coming back. And I think they do a great job of that. So you can go to their website and sign up there. Their big event is in February. So I would recommend doing it before the end of the year.
And where is that?
It's down in Paso.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's when we sent Jasmine went down.
That's
to.
when she just came.
Yes.
She came back from.
Yeah. But it's very cool because they do a seminar. And so they blind taste all, you can submit the wines that you're interested in showing at the seminar. And they blind taste everything in that varieties category and then kind of pick the winners. And then a representative from each of those varieties kind of comes and talks about their wine and the variety, the history of the variety. So we were able to be part of that this year for Syrah, which that was like a big burden. That Syrah has like a very rich history. So it was a lot to talk about, but,
and then they have a grand tasting.
And then they have a big grand tasting and a lunch and an auction. And it's a great event. Very popular. Yeah. And
All right. So what are we doing this year? We're going to pour wine on Saturday during the day.
Yes, pour wine on Saturday during the day. And then, so that is a couple hours grand tasting, 30 wineries coming. The tickets are $65, but we have a promo code. Oh no, they're $75. We have a promo code for a $20 discount.
Okay.
It's all capital letters RR Summer on the Rhone Rangers website. And it gets it down to $55 a person just for podcast listeners. Yes.
There you go.
So
Promo codes.
And you didn't even have to wait till the end of the show.
Didn't have to wait to the end of the show and have a new spliced in 30-second comment with Robert Kamen being snarky. Or just being himself. Should we say it again? RR Summer, all caps, on the Rhone Rangers website.
$20 off the ticket.
$20 off the ticket.
For 30 wineries.
That's basically like 30% off or something.
Yeah.
That's like a big discount.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just for you guys.
Wait, and that goes on for how long? For 2 hours? How many hours?
The tasting.
The tasting? Yeah. It's 3:30 to 5:30.
Okay.
Yes.
So I got to power. Oh, man.
30 wineries
now
in 2 hours?
I'm working. Now I want to.
Are you working the tasting?
I assumed I was.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
Should we have a staff meeting here on the show? Just do some scheduling.
Totally. Okay, so 2 hours, 30 wineries.
Yes, and then that evening there is a dinner event that has it's like reserve wines from the wineries, and then a multi-course dinner featuring Cline wines, where we were going to award my dad Fred his Lifetime Achievement Award from the Rhone Rangers, which is very exciting.
That before?
Not yet. No, this year. I'm really excited for him. I think Rhone Rangers is like the association he cares the most about and loves the most. I mean, it's really how he got his start. So he's very honored and very excited. So
okay, who's doing the dinner? Who's cooking?
Park 121 is cooking. Girl in the Fig was busy, but Park 121 is amazing.
Wow.
Yes. I mean,
Girl in the who? Do
Yeah,
they?
I mean,
Rhone?
Park 121 eats Bruce.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they do an amazing job.
They're amazing. Their food is really, really good. Yeah. So it's going to be awesome.
Is this going to be outside or inside?
Yes, outside on our great lawn.
Al fresco dining.
Yes, al fresco. Nice. That's why we did it in June. Yes, okay, cool. It's going to be beautiful.
Okay.
And there's tickets for that as well on the Rhone Rangers website.
And then people can actually you guys still giving out a promo code for the dinner?
Yes, we are. But I didn't bring the promo code. Did you? Okay.
Brian did his research.
It's 2023 Rhone Gala. So 2023 RHONEGALA, all cap, all uppercase. and then you can get $25 off on the dinner portion of it, which includes VIP tasting.
Yeah.
What are you guys going to be pulling out for? Are you going to be pulling out like
library wines? Yeah, old vintage. Like Mourvedre ages shockingly well. It's really that to me. Some of our like 90s Mourvedres are tasting insane. Smallberry Mourvedre is probably the wine that gained the most cult status that my dad ever kind of put out there. Yeah. So we're going to be pouring some Smallberry, some library Syrah. We all know Syrah ages like.
Yeah. While you're at it, because some people aren't going to know what the Smallberry is, can you just tell that story real quick?
Yeah, so the Smallberry Mourvedre is very small production Mourvedre from some of the oldest vines on our Big Break property. The Big Break Vineyard property is very well known for the eucalyptus that line the vineyard on the delta side of the property out in Contra Costa. And the wind kind of comes through, blows the oils over the vineyard, so you get that awesome eucalyptus mint character on the back of it. It's really cool. It's a really fun wine to pair food with. You get all sorts of herbaceous, like licorice seed flavors. It's really fun. There's a few places of like, I think Martha's Vineyard Heights Cellar that also has that kind of same element. But yeah, I really thought, like, growing up, it was one of the first wines that I tasted where I really understood terroir, because it's an obvious flavor, right. So it's cool. It's kind of an eye-opener for people.
And do you have any idea what kind of food they're eating?
The menu is published on the website, and you get to pick. You get to pick your entree. So there's yes, gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
See, he didn't do that much research.
Right.
Yeah.
He just read the email that they
printed
sent
an email. That was about it.
Yeah. He forwarded me that email. I haven't read it yet, so.
Okay, so RhoneRangers.org. You can get the tickets on there. Go on, and then you can pick what you want to eat that night.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I want to go to the dinner now.
You have to. It's going to be a big party.
I think we can probably expense that.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Obviously, the bookkeeper doesn't listen to the show either.
Thank goodness.
Joan can expense that.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to talk to the marketing department, John. We'll see.
All right. So, so you guys had Cline Cellars, right? Mm-hmm. Was the first winery, but then how did you get Jacuzzi out of that?
Honestly, so my dad he created a blend called Red Truck. So it was one of the first red blends that had like a cute image on the label. And they created this wine because they got drunk and bought a painting at an auction and had to, write it off. So they made it a label. They spent too much money on it, basically. I think it was like $1,500. So at the time, it was like shit. So they needed to write it off, and they put it on a label, and something about that red truck spoke to people, and it was a good price point, and the wine was really good. A lot of the wine was kind of excess Zinfandel and Rhone varieties from out in Contra Costa, and people loved it. It was like right on the cusp of when red blends were kind of blowing up. So they sold that brand in like 2003. Yeah. And after they sold it, my dad built Jacuzzi and was able to kind of honor his grandfather and how he got into the wine industry. And he really wanted to work with kind of the smaller Italian varieties. So that's how we started Jacuzzi.
Okay. And is it mostly estate fruit, or are you guys sourcing from all over?
We're sourcing for Jacuzzi. We're sourcing from all over. And then we're also planting, small blocks of Italian varieties that we just planted some Nebbiolo, which has been really fun. It's such a hard variety for here, but if you can age it long enough, it's amazing. So yeah.
So you guys get them coming and going. You get them on one side of the street. They stop at Cline, then you send them over to Jacuzzi.
To Jacuzzi, then the Olive Press, and then we send them into town. So. And
are you doing tastings for gust wines, or are you just not making enough wine to?
We open it at the winery sometimes and pour it for people that are interested. We have them open. So yeah, we're doing a little bit, but it's such a small amount, and we sell that to different restaurants and things like that around.
What are they like?
Bart, do you have any shout outs before you run?
Yeah, you want to do shout outs.
I just want to thank everybody who's wine club members and people who got the email for your orders. Still plenty of time to get you your wine. Order away. Hilary, very nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you too.
Thanks.
Thank you.
The wines are delicious.
Yeah, the
Thank you.
Movedras. I'm digging the Movedra.
Tell me about Gust.
So Brian did a great job for me earlier when I was struggling over here. But Gust is our new project. So me and my sister Megan, we both, I was kind of talking about how I left the family business for a while. And I worked for Sojourn that was making some awesome Petaluma Gap wines. My sister went and she became a somm, actually. So she was doing her tasting groups and she was tasting a ton of Petaluma Gap stuff. And we were just thinking about it. And my dad has 2 vineyards out in the Petaluma Gap, and we were just using them for our larger blends of Pinot and Chardonnay. And so we were very inspired to kind of try and make the best wines we possibly could from the best blocks on these vineyards. So Tom had worked with a lot of Petaluma Gap stuff. He helped us kind of go through, grade everything, figure out what blocks work, bring them in, make them in a more small batch kind of way. And yeah, we're making about 400 cases of the Pinot and Chard, and then only about 200 of the Syrah. So small project and selling it to restaurants, mostly wine shops, things like that. But it's been really fun. It's just been a very different project, something we can put our own kind of name and stamp on.
What do you have over at the Girl in the Fig?
Right now we have Cline. They support Cline, Viognier right now.
Okay.
And then the Mourvèdre, we're working on getting that back in there.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. Randy is coming to the Rhone tasting, so he'll be there.
Okay.
Yes.
That was a staple wine on the By the Glass list
Yes.
for decades.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We ran out of stock on it, so it's back at the distributor now. So I
Okay.
got to get it back in there.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
It was the perfect introduction for a
Yes.
lot of people that hadn't had Rhone wines before. When you got that Mourvèdre in their mouth, they're like, oh,
Yes.
I can't pronounce it, but it's delicious.
Totally.
Maybe these people are onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good for that.
It is
so,
delicious.
yeah. I'm going to pour some Syrah.
Oh boy. Hey, the Mourvèdre.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that is such a fun variety. Do you guys make Mourvèdre?
We have never done 100% Mourvèdre bottling. We've done like an 80-20 with Syrah and some, done several, Mourvèdre dominant blends.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite wines that we ever made though was 2020. We did 100% Mourvèdre rosé from the Rossi Ranch.
Oh, nice.
Which and I love Bandol. I love the
Yeah.
the Bandol rosés, age-worthy rosé and stuff like that. So that was definitely a silver lining in that cloud of gray that we lived in 2020.
Totally.
But for the most part, there's not. We don't really have enough of it to dedicate 100% Mourvèdre bottling. But I would love to.
So to even do like a ton of it to set aside just to do 50
Well,
cases.
To sort of like inside winemaking on it, we're trying to focus on slightly larger fermentations. So like the 1 ton fermentations, and we do that all the time because we have all these little things that we bring in. But for the most part, like the magic number is like 3 and 4 tons, especially at Magnolia. There's like really good tanks for those like 3 ton fermentations. And you'd also just kind of like get critical mass for really healthy, strong fermentations at that number we've found. As far as like volume, surface area, things like that, maintaining temperature, trying to stay out of the T-bins. So would prefer to, to do something like that. It'd be great. But if you have the opportunity to co-ferment and get into one of those like appropriately sized tanks, that's kind of where we've been going lately.
Yeah. We don't grow very much Mourvèdre in Sonoma. It's mostly coming from Contra Costa, and then we make like 500% Mourvèdres from it. But it's a harder variety to grow up here and get ripe in Sonoma area. So
and I think a lot of people, like Sam was saying, have probably had Bandol. They've had rosé. But But if you've never had the reds,
The Bandol Reds.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because maybe what you were saying, that people in New York are maybe
Drinking it all.
accessing those wines, or maybe a lot of them aren't leaving the country.
That's a lot of it.
But if you've ever had, I mean, I've had the opportunity to have some of those great Bandols, and they're fucking amazing.
Tempier Red that, with 20 years of age on it is like
Totally.
just about nothing else in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. It's a really cool variety that deserves a lot of respect. So, yeah. Yes, we make a late harvest Mourvedre. We make 2 red Mourvedres, and then we make a rosé Mourvedre and use it in blend. It's definitely a favorite. Sometimes we call it Mourfred.
Mourfred. I'm sure that has several connotations in the heat of harvest.
Yeah.
Some of them are not fit for publication. Do you bottle the 100% Mourvedre rosé ever?
Yeah, we do, and we pick it. We pick it early. Yeah.
So you're like pressing for
Yes.
rosé.
Yeah. We bottled that. It was just written up in the Spectator, which was nice. And every year we make like 1,500 cases. It's not huge, but it's.
Will they be pouring it on June 24th?
Yes, we'll be pouring it.
Okay.
So yes, come taste.
I've personally drank like 5 cases of that.
I was gonna
wine.
say, you better snag me a bottle if I. I'm gonna be getting
I'll
back
get
from
you a
another
bottle.
trip the day before, so we'll see if I make it out to that one.
No, the rosé is amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
And tell us about the Syrahs from the
This is
Carneros estate.
Yes, this is from the Carneros property.
Oh boy.
Yes. The winds out there, it makes it a perfect place to kind of grow Syrah, and the cooler climate compared to some of the warmer parts of California. Syrah is it's so dependent on the temperature where you grow it. It's like a chameleon, and I think that's why it hasn't been very commercially successful. Maybe
When are
as
we
a
just
grape.
gonna throw the towel in and say Syrah just isn't gonna sell here in California?
I know.
No, don't do that. Don't.
I mean, I don't know. When's the last time you had a hard time selling Syrah, though?
So personally, right now the only box that's empty in that cellar where we are is
the
the 19 Dos Simone Syrah
Really?
that needs to be restocked. But in general, even working in restaurants, like unless it was like a baller name where they didn't really care it was Syrah, it was typically in a blend, then they want that wine. But man,
Yeah.
we all love it.
We do, right?
I mean, it's the winemakers.
It is.
The industry that loves it.
Yeah.
And you think about like all my favorite, even Napa wines.
Mm-hmm.
The Syrah, Schaefer Syrah.
Yeah.
The Isley, the Arajo Syrah is my favorite wine I've ever had in my entire life.
Sorry, I've never
20
had that. Sam.
I bought
What's
a
that, Sam?
couple.
No, seriously. What was it?
2010 Arajo Syrah from the Isley Vineyard, which is,
Where can you get
Colton.
You
You
can't.
can't.
Thank you.
It doesn't exist. I bought the last 3 bottles of it I ever found. There's hidden in the cellar. I have to hide it from myself.
How do you spell that?
Arajo. ARAJ. Where's the AR?
ARAUJO,
Okay.
Arajo,
Arajo.
and then the EISELE
Right.
is the vineyard.
That is not the promo code for buying this.
No.
No,
And
I
the
was
cab
gonna- I
is
was gonna
amazing,
check
but I've never had
benchmark.
the Syrah.
The cabs are, and these are places, again, Schaefer Hills, these are places known for Cabernet.
Cabs, yeah.
You even ask Robert Kamen, who's, some of the most famous Cabernet in this county, and let alone California. His favorite wine from his vineyard is a Syrah. You just can't, it's another one of those ones that sells out and there's none of it left. So.
Yeah, that's the right way to do it, is kind of make a little bit for the true Syrah
Right,
geeks
right.
out there. But yeah, we've ended up selling a lot of Syrah in blends, and people love it. People do love it, but I think they're scared by Shiraz and, stuff that they've,
The Australian style.
yeah.
I'm having him fill out my.
You're trying to buy
Sean
some.
thinks he's going to buy some Arajo, and then as
Well-
soon as I pull this up, he's going
Right,
to
he's
see
going
the
to
price.
see the price and go, I'll wait till Sam opens one of those bottles.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, I love Benchmark though.
Oh,
Yeah.
Benchmark's great. If you want, one of the few places around us that you can find those.
Yeah, absolutely.
you
Maybe
know,
they should be a sponsor.
library
Here, John,
wines.
how about a 3-liter of the cab for $1,600?
There
Okay.
you go.
I'll take several.
Right. They probably only have one.
Good luck with that.
Thank you for the spelling.
Yeah. All right, and so last time I talked to Tom, I think he was in for dinner on. We had a really weird night the last time he was at the Fairmont. It was a Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah.
And it was raining.
Yes.
And we were booked outside, of course. And so we had a very French experience with umbrellas and heaters at every table.
Oh, my God.
Pretty much. But he was talking about kind of up in the game of the Pinot program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been It's been a huge focus of his because we grow a lot of Pinot out in the Petaluma Gap.
And honestly, I don't think I've ever had a Cline Pinot.
Really?
No.
Okay, we need to change
I've
that.
had your Pinot, but I've never had like a Cline Cellars Pinot.
Well, you know, maybe now that you've had a good experience so far on the podcast, you can go back and report to your dad that it's an easy interview and he can come and hang out.
I know. He would love that. Okay. Honestly, he's in Italy right now. Okay. Otherwise, I would have made him come with me. Right. Yeah, but you
know, Brian, that Fred Cline is the secret to our Syrah.
No.
Because the freezer that I use out on A Street, I think it's like his meat locker or something from the ranch out in Red Bluff.
Mm-hmm.
And
did you guys store vines there?
No, we store the skins to our Viognier.
Oh,
so we'll press our Viognier, and then I fill up like 10 buckets full.
Yes.
And now instead of texting or trying to get a hold of your dad, I just go straight to the person who runs the warehouse. I'm forgetting her name.
Val.
Val.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's awesome.
That's funny.
And hook her up with a couple bottles, and we run in there. And now that we've done it a couple times, she actually just drives the forklift, so we don't have to like carry these buckets around. she helps out now as opposed to letting us struggle on our own. She's awesome. But yeah, that's the secret since 2015 is that's where we freeze those skins.
Okay. So Sam, a 2000 Syrah
from Arajo
Magnum,
$700,
301.
Oh
no.
Don't tell me these things. Yeah. Are you going to buy it before I can?
Well, I was just thinking about it,
all right.
Actually. But, I mean, then they go to
I do have a birthday coming up, John.
When is it?
June 8th.
Sam's turning 40.
Yeah. Oh, what?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Send your gifts to 589 First Street West in Sonoma.
Attention, Brian Casey.
Preferably wine. Attention, Brian Casey. Sam really loves racy whites.
And you know what else you can send? Cassoulet, duck confit, all kinds of things, Cool stuff. Yeah, they've got and then they go into the regular bottles at 06, $100. They got 3.
Those prices have actually come down a little bit. It means that I overpaid.
And 07 for 109.
It's the best feeling.
Yeah.
All right. I'm glad this
John,
show.
John, you buy it and bring it on the show. We'd love to try them.
I'm gonna try.
Right? I'm just glad this show comes out before other people can listen and go look for themselves.
They're no longer there.
Sold out.
Talk to us about olive oil.
Oh my gosh, that is one of my favorite things we do. Olive oil is we grow a lot of olives at the Petaluma Gap properties, and a lot of that is about sustainability, so making sure that there is enough work for all of our amazing vineyard workers throughout the year, because the harvest comes a little bit later.
So that was actually something that your dad thought of, just so he could keep people here.
The people on, like, more people on full time.
Right.
Yeah.
Why? Because what does it take to maintain an olive tree?
A lot, and they're.
I mean, the harvest is
really labor intensive, and
Hilary said it much nicer than I did.
Yes,
it's labor intensive. It's a pain.
And we're able to plant steeper hillsides to olives as well. There's the regulations around how steep vineyards can be, right. But so we filled.
But there's not for olives.
Hopefully not.
Not.
Can you erase that part? Just in case. Yeah. Okay.
Because I've only seen video
the
one time.
The permitting is very different. The whole situation of planting olive trees.
Because they have such an enormous root structure that I would think it.
Well, so that's totally interesting. The olive industry in the last 20 years has evolved and changed a lot, and the way that the Clines are growing olives and the olive trees that we have is not sort of industry standard anymore now. And you'll see them, there's some places down 101 quarter, but mostly up north end of I-5. There are these olive groves, quote unquote, that kind of look like vineyards. They're high density, olive plantings that are grown, on a trellis and trained on a
way.
and then farmed, mechanically harvested by a
Wait,
machine.
that's what you guys are doing?
No.
No.
Oh,
They're doing
I'm
the
like,
other
wait
way.
a
Yeah,
minute,
no,
what?
we do
Which
very
is-
traditional.
okay.
Yeah.
You do really large spacings because they're these
Yes.
giant trees with giant
Beautiful
and can
trees,
live
yeah.
for frickin' ever. So that's the difference. Is those high density plantings basically have like a 20-year lifespan.
Yeah.
So olive, the adage, I'm sure your Italian relatives have said the same thing. My dad has always said is that you plant grapevines for your children and olive trees for your grandchildren, because really when olive trees start to, they don't live forever. There's 500-year-old olive trees, so that year 50 in the olive grove is when things start to really get interesting, right?
Wow.
So, Sam, when you go out Arnold and turn left to go down to Bono's, there's a place that sells those.
The ancient
Those
olive
ancient-
trees.
yeah.
Yeah, those are cool.
Doesn't
I'm
make
wondering,
bottles of
A,
wine at Benchmark look cheap? Those
Yeah.
olive trees.
Do they?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They seem very fancy. You only see them at very fancy houses, I feel like.
Well,
Yeah.
and
It
how
is,
old
yeah.
can those things be? Seriously, those are big.
Yeah.
So they're imminently transplantable.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of what is it happens is there's like places where, in mission times, there was olive trees planted. You planted an olive tree in your backyard, and now you're sick of the mess and dealing with it, and it's taking up too much room. You can sell that tree. Somebody will come and just scoop it out of the
'Cause
ground.
If you're doing it just for aesthetics,
Yeah.
it probably
Right.
looks pretty for part of the year, and then you
Yes.
got to clean up all the olives and the
Right.
black tar.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My
The-
dogs do that.
Yeah. Tracking it into the house.
The
and,
cool
yeah.
thing about the olive press, though, so we have a few days community press. So if you have 1 or 2 olive trees, you can pick those olives when they're ripe, bring them in that day, and you get a portion of the community olive oil. So we press everybody's olives together.
Very Italian. The
Yes,
co-op
it's
style.
really
yeah.
cool. It's a really, really cool thing. So if you have just 1 or 2 trees and you don't want them to go to waste, because it sucks to see that every year, it's super cool.
Because the video that I've only seen one video of harvesting olives from a tree, and it was basically they took like a sheet and put it under the tree,
Yes,
and then someone took it almost looked like a long bamboo stick
They're
and
like
just whacked the
rakes.
crap out of the
Yeah.
tree,
Yeah.
and the olives all fell down into this thing.
Now we have like electric rakes.
You got some of those electric
we
rakes?
have-
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
very
yeah.
cool.
They're
Yes.
like- looks like Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
And they're these like little rakes, powered rakes that like knock the
It's
the
a lot.
fruit off.
You put like a car, you attach them to a
Oh.
car battery. At least we do. I think there's fancier versions.
Yeah, I
But,
think there's more OSHA approved
yes.
versions of that.
Hillary's got a car
Strike
battery
that for the
backpack.
record.
Exactly. And then and we use tarps.
True to the
but,
Contra Costa roots,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yeah, we can't get too crazy up in here, but and there's one guy in town, David Rothschild. He's farming olives for people. So if people are looking for someone to help them, he's a good contact.
Well, tell people you whack the heck out of the tree. The olives just fall off naturally, right?
mhm.
And then you can't eat them like that, right? They're like rock hard.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Not delicious either.
No.
Right.
Yes. So then you bring them in, and I highly encourage anyone who's interested in it to go to the olive press and see the mill. It's especially during harvest time, because it's the most beautiful thing to see the olives go in, and then it's like neon green olive oil that kind of comes out. Olio Nuovo. It's like the first press olive oil. It's so delicious. Like, you have to get some every year. I highly recommend. It's the most fresh tasting. You feel healthy eating it.
Yeah.
It's just
It's like drinking liquid
Yes.
chlorophyll.
yeah.
okay, but the olives, they're only like I'm imagining this is radio, but they're not very big.
hmm
And they don't seem like an orange. There's like liquid in it, and so you can that makes sense to people like juicing it. But how the
Right.
hell do you get all that oil out of the olive?
You press it very
Science.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Science. Is
So
that
you're
what you
not
said, Sam?
unlike
Yeah.
an olive that you would eat. You're not doing the whole thing with the lye.
Curing it. Yeah, we
No,
don't
no, no.
cure them.
Yeah.
You put them from when we harvested. You
Yeah.
press them off immediately.
But then what do you do about the pit?
There's a lot of the oil is in the pit.
Yeah. It turns
You
into
grind-
almost
you
to like
grind
a
the
mash.
whole
It
thing.
turns
Idea.
into
You
grind
have
the
to
whole
come,
thing.
Brian. You have to come see.
Okay.
It's really cool.
Again, yeah, the modern way. Sorry to interrupt you, Hilary. The modern way of extracting the oil from the mash is centrifuge. You kind of spin it out, and oil, like think about like oil and water, right? There's a lot of water in that mash, and there's a lot of the sort of like, fibrous material.
Right.
But if you spin it, the oil being lighter, less dense, pushes to the outside, and then it's kind of like, and then science happens, and it's separated from the other stuff.
Do you process any of yours for eating? Olives?
My mom will do like a big jar for home.
Yeah. How do you do it?
You can do salt. You can do brine.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite was like the salted ones. You kind of like dehydrated with the salt and salt cured. And it's just curing anything else.
Yeah.
Or pickling anything else.
We do a big event in February with Don Landis. He's like the local olive curing master. So yeah, highly recommend. He has a website that kind of goes into all things making olives. So
we have a giant tree in our backyard.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, huge.
Well, John, you need to get those olives and bring them into Hillary,
yeah.
and then
I
get
do.
your portion
That's
of
what I
the
was thinking of doing,
community.
actually.
Yeah, the community share.
Co-op
It's-
share.
Yes. Yeah.
I just don't know how the hell to get them down, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of them fall.
You just go out there and shake the tree.
Yeah,
and
YouTube. Go watch
let the
YouTube
dogs-
videos. No, there and I think that David Rothschild, this local, he runs a vineyard management company, but he has those rakes. I think for hire, he'll help people harvest. So, big plug for David here. Yeah,
Shout out David Rothschild.
yeah.
Every time he's asked to come on the show, I tell him no. Well, he always goes, "Oh, local expert Sam Couturi's here," and I go, "All right,
Oh,
thanks, David. Nice to see you too." he's a good.
That
I've known.
is your title, though.
I
that's your title, local expert.
That's why that's the intro to the show that somebody recorded a long time ago. I've known David since he was 5 years old or something. I was his soccer coach at one point, and I used to make him run laps. He was always a pain in the ass as a team player. He's doing a good job for his business. So he's doing a great job. He's
Yeah,
a good guy.
I'm impressed.
Good guy. David Rothschild.
Any young person that's starting a business and doing stuff in Sonoma and contributing back to the community, it's awesome to see. Yeah.
I only say these things because I know he's going to listen.
I love it. This is so on brand.
So, Hillary, what are you doing in your free time?
Oh man, I feel
Do you have any?
it doesn't feel like it. I mean, I guess going to Mexico and no, I think I love reading. My sister Emma is a writer.
Oh, the new book out,
Yeah,
right?
she has a new book out that they're selling it at Readers. Highly recommend.
And what's it
What
about
does she
in the
write
title?
about? 'Cause
Oh,
she's
man.
she's actually like a famous writer.
Yes,
Yeah.
she is so smart, and she wanted to be a writer from when she was in second grade. She won a writing competition through Readers in second grade. I always knew.
Shout out Reader's Books, our local bookseller.
yes.
Great place.
So great.
So what's the title and what's it
What
about?
does she
called
write about
the-
in general?
I think she writes about the experience of being a girl. So if you're interested in that at all, highly recommend. And
They're
she's
intense. It's intense stuff.
It is. Yeah.
I've tried to read a little of it, and I'm like, all right, this is a little intense
It
for
is.
me.
My
It's
parents
intense.
read it and are
I'm
like,
sure it just
we're so
Yeah.
proud of you.
We're proud, we think.
Yeah. No, it's like almost, it's so perceptive that it hurts you. It's like,
Like looking in the mirror.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. But I love to read. I love to hike around Sonoma. I like to go out to the coast. What do you like to do in your free time?
I'm working, and then I have a 14-year-old, so I
Oh.
get to drive her around.
Nice.
Yeah. That's basically
Chauffeuring.
all of my free time is she's on a swim team, so she's
Nice.
swimming every day, all day. School,
That's cool.
4-H. Yeah.
What is she doing 4-H?
Everything.
Yeah.
They just painted pots last night. She does archery on Saturday mornings.
Oh,
Cool.
that is cool.
That's fun.
I was in 4-H growing up. We did livestock, and then we learned how to cook casseroles. Come in huge handy in my
Anyone
life.
that wants to teach like something in 4-H,
Yeah.
as long as they can get you on board, then
Yeah.
one of the parents will take over, and you can sign up for anything.
It's
But
cool.
they run the parking lot down at the Apple Blossom
Mm.
Festival, all that stuff. Whatever they can do to make money.
Did they teach you to make cassoulet?
No, but I attempted that recently, and it was a success. It just took
Excellent.
forever.
Yeah,
I did
does.
it on New Year's.
Like
New
3
Year's
days.
Eve. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I used Julia Child's recipe.
And the duck, where'd you get that?
A
The
Sonoma
coffee.
market.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mary's. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that is the source for duck in Sonoma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rancho Gordo beans.
Yes, of course. I mean,
Right.
a must.
You have to. Absolutely
Yes.
have to.
I got to reach back out to Steve Sando. We talked about him coming on the show.
I know we really want to have him on the show. He's can we talk about beans for an hour?
I'm sure that we could talk about beans for an hour.
Okay.
Yes, you guys could talk.
We can talk about anything for an hour.
Cassoulet. Just that could be the theme. You guys should make cassoulet while.
There
Well,
we go.
John will
that'll-
make
John,
yeah.
cassoulet,
Yeah.
and
We can go from drinking on the show to eating on the show.
There you go.
Get
Yeah.
those,
Evolve.
get all those ASMR fans
oh my
into
God,
it deep.
we'll have a bunch of freaks.
I will bring a pot of cassoulet someday. Seriously. You got a microwave here?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we'll heat it up.
Mm.
Cool.
Okay,
Now,
I'll come back for that. You don't have to ask me.
Okay, Hilary. No
bring a
problem.
bottle of Movedra.
Yes,
And,
that is like.
the Syrah's great too, actually.
Yeah, and I break up a couple of those duck confits in
Mhm.
there,
Mm.
and then serve it. Everybody gets a duck confit.
Oh,
So yeah.
wow. Okay, I'll be there.
Well, when I was in France in '87, that's the first time I ever tasted it. And I had somebody tell me I had to get it, so I got it. And last time we were down in Bordeaux for 5 days, I had cassoulet 6 times. So that's, I mean, I'm definitely a fan. I mean, I'd love to make it.
I've heard that there's very different regional cassoulets. Like it's a thing. So yeah, don't get French people talking about cassoulet. You'll be there for hours. I won't name names.
All right, let's go through everything people got to know today.
Let's recap and throw those promo codes.
and
out there.
I want people to come out and join us at the tasting, and
This will be a blast.
anyone that wants to come pour for me as I'm out tasting.
Right. Who's going to cover? We're
Sub.
looking for volunteers to cover
Yeah.
for Brian while he's trying the 29
Free
other
ticket to the event if you
wine-
come pour
There we go.
16,600 wines.
All right.
Promo code Brian sent me. Right.
No, the
They're
promo
going to
code.
start getting those.
Yeah.
I'm going to get in trouble. Always.
Please
No,
recap.
the promo code for the actual tasting portion from 3:30 to 5:30, $20 off your $75 ticket, brings it to $55. It's capital letters RR Summer. Get on it.
And then the dinner.
Dinner. So the promo code for the dinner is 2023 Rhone Gala. Sounds like we're gonna drink some baller wines and eat some great food.
And this is all happening on June
24th.
24th, Saturday, June 24th.
Yeah.
At
And
Cline
At
Cline
Cellars.
Cellars.
You'll know it
Mhm.
by the sign out front that says "Welcome, Rhone lovers." Well, I'm sure it'll be more punny
We'll
than
have
that.
a much better pun
Yeah.
than that.
Please.
So.
Thank goodness.
And your dad's going to be honored this year as
Yes.
the person of the year. I mean, I know. I think Sandra had won that in
Mhm.
the past. What are other people that have won that award?
All the
Randall
people,
Graham,
yeah,
I
Randall
assume,
Graham,
and
Bob
Bob
Lindquist.
Lindquist, yeah.
It's the whole gamut.
That's why I'm
And
shocked that your dad hasn't actually won this already.
yeah, I totally agree. They took a few years off awarding
Okay.
it. So, yes.
So, Hilary, what rhymes with Rangers on the sign?
Don't be strangers.
Or-
Come to Rhone Rangers.
Or
You're
danger.
quick.
Boom.
You're quick. Yeah. All right. We'll work with that. Thanks for the material.
Yeah, there you go.
And
Yeah.
then if anyone wants to know who's going to be pouring out there, I got a
Yeah,
whole
let's go.
list.
Just give me the list, and then I got a great shout out. Somebody just texted me. So
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
Hey, Adam.
Abbott's Passage is going to be out there at Katie Bunchu, Acquiesce Winery, Adelena Vineyards and Winery, Alta Colina, Bonnie Doon, Broken Earth, Caliza, Cask Wines, Cass Winery, Cline Family Cellars, obviously. Edio Vineyards at Delfino Farms from El Dorado. Casey Graybell from the Grenachista, Holly's Hill Vineyards, Hope Family Wines, Kukula, that's the one that I had not had from Paso Robles, Lava Cap Winery, Lindquist Family Wines. So is that
Yes.
so?
Because
it's not
they sold
coupe.
Coupe. They
No,
sold
yeah,
Coupe.
it's the no.
Oh,
The Lindquist family, they have a couple of little like interesting brands that they
Yeah.
have started after in their post Coupe history.
okay,
Mhm.
cool. And then Oregon, Long Walk
Yes.
Vineyard in Oregon, McCon Family Cellars, the Meeker Vineyard. So
Mhm.
I'm totally psyched about that one. They do Grenache here locally, and I've never met anyone from that winery. and I want to invite them to something coming up in the future. Ridge Vineyards,
Yes.
which is amazing. I know they do Carignan.
They do
and
blends.
Grenache and Syrah. Starfield Vineyards from El Dorado. Toblis Creek. Who's coming from Toblis Creek? Do you know?
I think it might be their tasting room manager.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and convince Jason to come. He is like the coolest person
Great guy.
ever.
Is Darren still working for them? Okay, he was their kind of sales rep for a while.
Okay,
He's a cool cat
okay.
too. Tercero Wines from Santa Barbara. Troon, who
Friend of the podcast,
friend of the
Craig
podcast.
Camp.
Yeah, he's the
he
president
the
of the
president
Rhone
of the board?
Rangers.
Okay.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's the sweetest guy. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
16600 is coming.
16600.
Never heard
William
of him.
Chris, Lost Draw Sellers from Texas.
Yes. Texas with the Rhones. They love Rhone
That's awesome.
varieties.
Vigo Cellars, Paso Robles, and then Zaca Mesa, who
Yeah.
I've had plenty of their
Right.
wines.
Great wines.
Yeah, totally.
It's great that there's. I love it when there's wineries that are further down an alphabetical list than Winery 16600. So it's great to have Zaca Mesa and things.
Normally you're the
so we're not
bottom.
last.
Right.
Don't court dangers. Taste with the Rhone Rangers.
Don't cork dangers. Okay, wait.
Court.
Yeah.
C-O-U-R.
Oh, don't
Cork.
cork dangers. Okay.
All right.
Got it.
We're gonna-
John, I don't know.
we're
if
gonna
we
keep
have to
workshopping
think about
this.
it
I
a
would
little bit
if
too
I were
long.
you. I'm just sitting here thinking. So.
All right.
I threw that in for Pod Love.
All right. Oh, shout out to Podlove. That was John Myers that just gave you that beautiful pun that you can now create a bumper sticker with.
Well, I just got a text message from friend of the pod and supporter in general, Rob Wildman. Wildman, who just said he left his oncologist office, and the doctor said that he'll never have to see him again. So cancer free
shit.
in Cincinnati. So shout out, Rob.
Ow,
Way to
ow.
go.
That's awesome.
Open some good wine
Yeah.
tonight for that, for sure. Yeah,
Nice.
That's awesome.
it's a good one.
All right, so come on out, Rob.
Come on out.
You're free.
Come on out. June 24th, September 17th.
Right.
Right.
I think they're going to Italy.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, they should.
Roger, make
yeah.
those reservations now too. So,
But, on the theme of Rhone Rangers, Grenache Day, Grenache Weekend, 15, 16, 17.
So,
There's going to be lots going on in Sonoma, including our Vinyl Sunday.
yeah,
at the
Hilary,
Vine.
we're
Really?
planning a big Grenache Day
Really?
weekend. So,
Oh, you should tell the Rhone Rangers. They'll promote it
Okay.
for you and help throw
Should we
it, too.
tell somebody on the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell someone on the board and they can hook it up. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll talk to you guys about it after. But yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah. A private party Friday night that you are cordially invited to of
Thank you.
the cool kids and growers and winemakers and
Awesome.
yeah, which you fit into all those categories.
Thanks. I'll be there.
especially the cool kids. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
That's the important
that's
one.
actually my title. Take
Cool
that
kid?
the VP away. Just
I mean,
add cool kid.
nothing against
Yeah.
the rest of your siblings, but you're the coolest.
Oh.
At least you're the coolest in that
Yes.
hanging out with us today.
Oh, thanks. Gee, thanks.
Ouch.
Yeah. No, there.
mean,
Have you met my brother Henry?
I don't know if I've met Henry.
Okay,
I
he's
know
officially
Ramsey-
he's way
he's the
cooler than
coolest?
me.
Okay.
Yeah, he's so.
All right, I know Ramsey.
Henry has just joined as our vineyard manager.
Okay,
you
cool.
have to meet him.
Okay.
Yeah, so
We'll bring
you'll
him
see
back.
at
We
the
could
warehouse.
we should book a Cline
I almost sent him
tasting in here, and
Yes.
we could fill the room with
Yes.
siblings and cousins. I'm
And
sure.
just cousins. That's
Fill
all
out
who's
the whole
invited.
place.
Yeah.
Book an entire day.
There's too many.
Closed for the
Yeah.
day.
As you're driving by, can you just pull into Cline
Yes,
and
yes.
taste?
Walk-ins, 100% welcome. How about here? Are you guys doing walk-ins here?
If we have space
Yeah,
and we're
Space and
we're
people.
not ignoring people that actually
booked. Yeah,
booked a tasting,
Yeah.
then we're happy
let
to
'em-
take
yeah.
people.
yeah.
And if they're wearing a tie-dye shirt,
Right.
There
I
is-
Say
mean,
the
you have
magic
to.
words.
You
You
have to.
know.
Yeah.
I'm a deadhead. They told me to come here.
we kind of bend the rules.
Yeah.
Rules are meant to be
Yeah,
bent.
it was an
Yeah.
interesting shift during COVID, but we've always been the walk-in winery, and we're back,
Yeah.
baby. Yeah.
Well, it's
Back and bad.
there's the places that you go in and it's like a bar, and I worked at one of those places where you're just kind of keeping glasses full, and then sort of the new model that started during COVID was like the timeshare presentation where you're sitting across a table from someone
Yes.
and they're staring at you.
Yes.
How do I get you into 5 cases of wine today?
Yeah.
We don't fit into either of those
Yeah,
categories
yes,
For
here.
the
That's
cost
good.
of a cup of
That's
coffee a
good.
day.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a better way to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Nice people, good wine.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
The rest of it will take care of itself.
Totally.
Hilary, any shout outs for friends and things going on? other than Rhone Rangers?
Oh man, who's gonna get the love?
We got the
There's
David
so many.
Rothschild sponsorship of
Yeah,
this show.
Oh God. I don't claim that. Shout out. I was just at my dear friend Justin Salvador. I was at his birthday in Mexico. It's why I had the coughing attack. So we're going to shout out to him on his 35th birthday.
Right on,
So,
there we go.
Yes. I'm shocked I made it, guys.
Well, you can always just blame us. Oh, you told me the 22nd.
I was this close.
Well, I'm glad you didn't. So
Me too.
I'm
Thank
glad
you guys so much. It's really good to see both of you and so nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Cool. Cline
has.
Cellars, Gust, Jacuzzi, and come on out and hang out with us at the Rhone Rangers.
Ancient
It's gonna be a
Vines
fun
Movedra.
event.
June
And
24th.
I'm assuming the weather's going to be incredibly beautiful, and we're
It
going to
will.
have a
Yes.
great tasting in there. And the tasting is outside as well.
It's outside
Yeah.
on our cabana lawn, so
Yeah,
you're gonna have
beautiful.
to come hang in a cabana.
That's tough.
I mean,
Honestly.
yes,
Cabana living. I think
Brian's
your wife
name-
was living in a cabana yesterday.
She was.
Yeah.
really.
Well, how do you make up for being gone on a sales trip for 5 days while your kid has got a gnarly cough and keeping everybody up and not going to school? You get home and instead of sleeping, you bite the bullet and let your wife go to the spa at the Fairmont for the
Oh,
day
there
and
you
hang out in the
go.
cabana.
Nice.
Well,
Yeah.
you try and stay awake and supervise your child. Yes.
I'm impressed. Good work.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
I was out of the doghouse by Sunday night. So.
Excellent. Brian, you got any?
No, I'm just excited for the Rhone Rangers.
It's going to be
event.
awesome. It's great to have Rhone Rangers back in
Oh,
Sonoma.
it's
So,
awesome.
Thank you, Hilary.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
It'll be good.
How long has it been since it's
I
been
think
up here?
2000. Okay. 2009 possibly
Wow.
was their last.
Way
event.
too long.
Yeah.
Hillary, we need to be doing
Yeah.
events every year.
Yes. We'll
Right.
tie it in with your guys' Grenache Day
Sweet.
Okay.
stuff. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
So
Sam?
Hi-ho Rhone Rangers.
There you go. And you've got a lot of spring releases coming out, and so does
We
Bart.
got our spring releases are out. Wine Club's pretty much wrapped up. If you haven't gotten your Phil sent me shipment yet,
It means you have not
it
responded.
means you
to
haven't
emails and
responded to
phone calls.
several emails and phone calls.
But we
from
have your
Brian,
credit card
Jasmine,
numbers.
Chris,
they'll be
Bailey.
knocking on your door
You're
next.
about to get 6
Yes.
bottles of Cab
Yeah, we're
Franc.
just gonna. There you go. All of a sudden, you have $1,000 Wine Club shipment coming your way. It's your fault. You didn't answer.
Yep.
We warned you.
Yep. Dealer's choice.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We are the winemakers indeed. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks for listening.
Cheers.